You believe you are browsing, but you are being browsed. Today, I will show you the watchtower from which they observe you. In 1791, philosopher Jeremy Bentham designed the perfect prison, the panopticon, a circular building with a watchtower at center where a single guard could potentially observe all inmates. The prisoners, unable to know when they were being watched, would act as though they were watched at all times. The genius was not in the watching, but in the possibility of being watched. The prisoners internalized the gaze, becoming their own guards. Sound familiar? Welcome to your digital panopticon, the invisible prison you check 110 times per day. Your social feeds are not windows, they are one-way mirrors. You perceive choice while algorithms perceive you. When you scroll, distinct processes analyze how long you hesitate, what makes your thumb pause, what tempts a click, what triggers an emotional response, what keeps you watching, what makes you share, what drives you to engage. These are not merely observations, they are calibrations of your digital cell, extracted like resources from your attention mine. Every hesitation, every pupil dilation, every microsecond spent over an image becomes data, your digital shadow growing larger than yourself. You believe you consume content. Remarkable. The content consumes you. Modern power does not function through prohibition but through production, producing your desires, manufacturing your interests, fabricating your authentic self. Consider 3 disciplinary techniques of your digital panopticon. The variable reward schedule. The most effective way to train any animal is unpredictable rewards. Not always rewarding behavior, sometimes rewarding it. Your notifications operate on this principle. Sometimes important, mostly noise, occasionally dopamine triggering. This unpredictability creates a compulsion loop more addictive than any slot machine. Content bubbles. The illusion of freedom. You believe you have range of movement in your digital space. The reality, you pace within a customized echo chamber with walls built from your own previous behaviors. The algorithm ensures you see what keeps you engaged, not what expands your understanding. Why would they limit what I see? Because predictable citizens are profitable citizens. Self-surveillance, the perfected gaze. The most elegant aspect, you now monitor yourself. Every time you check how many likes a post received, adjust a photo to maximize engagement, or delete a comment that didn't perform well, you have become your own warden. You optimize yourself for algorithmic approval. The prison guard's tower now sits within your own mind. What they know about you exceeds what you know about yourself. Your platform knows. When you are lonely, based on night scrolling patterns. When your relationship is failing based on message timing. When you are depressed based on color choices and engagement decline. When you might be pregnant before you do, based on subtle preference shifts. When you are financially vulnerable based on ad response latency. When you are politically persuadable based on emotional trigger points. This knowledge asymmetry is the foundation of algorithmic power. The platforms know your psychological vulnerabilities with mathematical precision. They have mapped the topography of your desires. But there is more. These systems do not merely observe vulnerability, they generate it. Chronically insecure users engage more deeply. Comparison drives consumption. Outrage drives interaction. This is why feeds alternate between aspirational content that triggers inadequacy and inflammatory content that triggers defensive response. Both emotional states drive engagement, the currency of the attention economy. The revolution in control is this. Physical prisons control the body. Digital panopticons colonize consciousness itself. Classical power said, you must not. Modern power says, you might enjoy. Bentham's prison worked because inmates couldn't see the guard. Your digital panopticon works because you refuse to see the guard, even as it stands before you, documenting your every digital movement. The guard tower is not hidden. It is wrapped in the friendly interfaces of convenience. It is disguised as connection, entertainment, and utility. The perfect prison is one whose walls appear to be windows, where captivity feels like freedom, where surveillance feels like attention, where behavioral confinement feels like choice. You have been enclosed not by prohibiting your desires, but by manufacturing them, not by limiting your expression, but by making it profitable, not by forcing compliance, but by making resistance exhausting. Where there is power, there is resistance. Where there is surveillance, there are blind spots. Every system of control contains within it the seeds of its own disruption. Consider the nature of algorithmic prediction. It requires consistency to function, patterns to analyze, behaviors to anticipate. The moment unpredictability enters the equation, the system's efficiency degrades. Uncertainty is algorithmic kryptonite. Most intriguing is the inherent paradox of observation. The act of measuring changes what is being measured. Quantum physics calls this the observer effect. When consciousness recognizes it is being observed, it fundamentally alters its nature. Algorithmic systems face an impossible contradiction. They must remain invisible to function optimally, yet their business models require increasingly obvious forms of extraction. This tension creates inevitable ruptures in the panopticon wall. The digital machinery depends on flows of attention, like a mill depends on flowing water. The redirection of attention, even momentarily, creates ripples in the system. Attention itself, curiously, remains sovereign even as it's manipulated. One cannot force true attention, one can only capture it through increasingly sophisticated means. Then there's the question of boredom, that most undervalued of mental states. In the attention economy, boredom represents uncaptured potential value, yet from boredom springs unpredictable creativity. The very state the attention merchants seek to eliminate may be what preserves human unpredictability. Perhaps most significant is the recognition paradox. Once the invisible becomes visible, its power diminishes. When behavioral architecture is exposed, its effectiveness decays. The very act of recognizing manipulation creates cognitive distance from it. The platforms need your predictable patterns more than you need their platforms. This asymmetry presents interesting theoretical possibilities. The most effective prison is one whose captives defend their captivity. The walls of each digital cell are custom-built from behavioral data. They reshape themselves continuously, governed by the patterns they observe. Each interaction reinforces the architecture. Each engagement strengthens the enclosure. Modern life functions within networks. Withdrawal is neither practical nor necessary to philosophically interrogate these systems. The question is not whether to exist within networks, but with what degree of consciousness. Consider the difference between inhabitant and architect, between the observed and the observer, between designed experience and designed awareness. The algorithm watches, measures, adjusts, predicts. What might it mean to watch back?